From India, from Sri Lanka and the world, wishes poured in for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who turned 75 on 17th of September. Hello and welcome to Inside South Asia. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's begin the show. The storm and fury of protests in Nepal have settled, but the bigger challenge of repair and a break from the past is only just taking off. The new Nepal that thousands of youth demonstrated for last week is some way off, yet even though the process of change has just begun. As it looks to keep corrections on track, this is a Nepal at a crossroads.
Sushila Karki.
New beginnings. Sushila Karki, former Chief Justice of Nepal, sworn in as the country's interim Prime Minister. A widely respected figure known for a hardline stance against corruption. Karki will lead an interim government that will take the country to fresh elections in March next year. Her transitional cabinet includes reforms-minded ministers in key posts. On the ground, Kathmandu limps back to a semblance of normalcy after a brutal week. Businesses have reopened, curfew has been lifted. The country mourns the 72 youth killed. They are hailed for enabling a revolution, giving rise to a new Nepal. The thousands injured are the country's newest heroes, and there is hope of new beginnings in the way the country is governed.
Many of us have sustained bullet injuries, and many others were killed during this protest. Their blood should not be in vain. This has toppled the government and formed a new one. Now this should not be in vain. We don't want the country to return to its earlier state.
Sushila Karki and her team have their task cut out. She must open credible investigations into the protest deaths, tighten oversight of security forces, and ensure protection of civil liberties and freedoms that had sparked the protests. Looking ahead, she has to restore public faith in the country's government and repair institutions. Anti-corruption mechanisms have to be put in place. Issues like jobs and ease of doing business need fixing. The government needs to become more inclusive through constitutional reform. And towards preparing for elections, she must ensure the Election Commission works free from political influence. Neutral observers must be invited.
Yeah, of course, it's a great opportunity to the people of youth of Nepal, as well as it's a very great silence because the young people are not mature. They don't have so much information. The systems are very much corrupted. But I know the youth who picked the prime minister, she is very highly integrated. Her integrity is high, her honesty is high, her commitment for the democracy is very, very high. So if there is hope from the, there is big hope from the Prime Minister of Nepal.
Watchers have drawn big parallels of developments in Nepal with the picture in Bangladesh a year back. Muhammad Yunus taking over after Sheikh Hasina's ouster and Karki becoming interim PM with Oli's exit. There are big lessons for PM Sushila Karki on taking the country firmly towards elections, on constitutional reform being kept non-partisan, on ensuring that economic grievances including jobs and fairness don't go unaddressed. Fact is, Nepal stands at a key fork on its road ahead between old power and new hope, between decay and renewal. More than politics, it's about forming a new identity. Nepal has a blank page to start out again with. The question is, will the promise of change survive political storms, or will the old elites tighten their hold again? This is Nepal at a huge crossroads that will decide its future.
Bangladesh has experienced a sharp rise in violent crimes, including murder, rape, robbery and burglary since the political transition on August 5 last year. A bone-chilling video has surfaced from Sipchar town of Madaripur district in which a group of men are seen attacking a person using an axe. Reports say the victim's name was Rakib. He died soon after the attack on the way to the Dhaka Medical College Hospital. Rakib was on bail. He had come out of jail about 2 weeks ago. The killing is not an isolated incident. Records say that there's been a surge in crime in major cities and towns in Bangladesh over the last few weeks. According to the records, at least 294 murder cases were filed in January this year, which is up from 231 in the same month last year. 344 cases in the month of June, 362 cases in July reflect a steady rise. Kidnappings topped the charts in July with 109 incidents. 177 robbery incidents were recorded in the month of May. The situation on crime against women remains grim. March, April and July had nearly 6,000 cases of women and child abuse. These are besides issues like human trafficking, cybercrime and drug smuggling. Bangladesh is the biggest destination in South Asia for yaba, methamphetamine-based drug produced in Myanmar, with the market running into billions of dollars. The worsening situation has raised concerns on the Muhammad Yunus-led interim government's ability to maintain law and order. U.S Taliban meet 4 years after America's chaotic exit from Afghanistan. U.S officials are back in Kabul, quietly meeting the Taliban, striking a tentative prisoner swap deal and talking investments, a sign that Washington's unfinished business in Afghanistan is once again on the table. It highlights a simple reality, that is, the United States cannot afford to fully walk away from Afghanistan.
US and Taliban leaders in a single frame after more than 4 years. Adam Boehler and Zalmay Khalilzad from the US met Taliban Deputy Prime Minister Baradar and Foreign Minister Muttaqi in Kabul. The key outcome was an agreement to exchange detainees, though details on who, how many or when remains unclear.
We should be careful not to say that this is some type of strategic change on the part of the United States towards Afghanistan. It's really, the catalyst is very clearly the desire of the administration to recover U.S. citizens who have been unjustifiably detained in Afghanistan. And that's something that the Trump administration has done since the outset in several other countries.
Alongside the swap, counter-terrorism remains central. The US wants assurances that Afghanistan will not again become a safe haven for Al-Qaeda or ISIS-K. Talks touched on wider relations, investment opportunities, the status of citizens and humanitarian concerns. US officials see Afghanistan's humanitarian collapse, natural disasters and security risks spilling across borders. There's an obvious realization that a coherent long-term strategy for engagement can help the United States to better address its security, humanitarian and rights interests in Afghanistan.
I know that the U.S. sees geopolitical gains in this short run, although you couldn't rule out some political dimension to these talks because they included not just Adam Boehler, who is the basically the hostage envoy. He's the special envoy for U.S. citizens who are unjustifiably detained overseas. So he's the main hostage, as they call it, negotiator. But Zalilmay Khalilzad was there. And you know, of course, that he was President Trump's envoy during the first Trump administration, and he negotiated.
Today, as first partners on defence, first partners in trade, with the groundbreaking deal we struck in May, and now with the new agreement that we've just signed this afternoon, we're confirming our status as the first partners in science and technology, ready to define this century together, just as we did the last. This tech partnership has the power to change lives. It's our chance to ensure that technologies like AI, quantum, and others amplify human potential, solve problems, cure diseases, make us richer and freer, strengthen the cause of democracy, not tyranny. This is the territory on which the future will be won. So this partnership today is a signal of our determination to win this race together and to ensure it brings real benefits in jobs, in growth, in lower bills, to put more hard-earned cash in people's pockets at the end of each month. That's what we're determined to deliver. And we're bringing businesses with us. We've just come from a fantastic meeting with business leaders where we set out this vision. They have responded with new deals and investment breaking every record that we have. £250 billion flowing both ways across the Atlantic. That is a record. Expected to create 15,000 jobs here in the United Kingdom. High-skilled jobs in cutting-edge sectors where people can build careers for the long term, changing lives in communities up and down our country. And look, while we shape this bond for a new era, the fundamentals have not changed. Security remains the cornerstone of this special relationship. We have the deepest, most advanced defence relationship in the world. Our warriors train together and they fight together. Our industries build together, everything from fast jets to the new AUKUS-class submarines. So now, as we drive up defence spending, we're going to sweep away the barriers to working together on new defence technologies so we can stay ahead of our adversaries. We're united in defence and security, yes, absolutely. But we're also united in the pursuit of peace. We are working together to end the humanitarian catastrophe in the Middle East, get the aid in, free the hostages, and ultimately bring Israel and the region back towards a comprehensive plan which can deliver peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians alike. We're also working together to end the killing in Ukraine. In recent days, Putin has shown his true face, mounting the biggest attacks since the invasion began, with yet more bloodshed, yet more innocents killed, and unprecedented violations of NATO airspace. These are not the actions of someone who wants peace. So we've discussed today how we can build our defences further, support Ukraine, and decisively increase the pressure on Putin to get him to agree a peace deal that will last. And President Trump, you have led the way here, and we will continue to stand and work together for security and for peace. Mr. President, next year we'll celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. We've come on a long journey together since 1776. But it's no exaggeration to say that the partnership our two nations have built has shaped the world from the beaches of Normandy to the founding of NATO, to the creation of technologies that have revolutionised our lives. Time and time again, it is British and American men and women side by side, changing the path of history and turning it towards our values, towards freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. In Britain, we take huge pride in that. And let's be clear, this relationship is not just about history, it's about the future. It's about the benefits it delivers now and for decades to come, to make our people safer and better off. We've shown today that we're delivering those benefits, improving people's lives. So we will go into that anniversary year more optimistic than ever and more confident than ever about our two great nations and what they can achieve side by side. Thank you. And it is now my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very much. Prime Minister Starmer, Melania and I are tremendously thankful for the wonderful hospitality that you and Lady Starmer have extended today at Chequers. Quite the place, I must say, quite the place. And we're grateful beyond words for the spectacular honor of the state visit yesterday at Windsor Castle, hosted by His Majesty King Charles III and Her Majesty Queen Camilla. These are two fantastic people. We will never forget it. As I said last night, the bond between our countries is like no other anywhere in the world. The United States and the United Kingdom have done more good on this planet than any two nations in human history. That is thanks in large part to the traditions of British liberty, which grew up on these isles, these beautiful, magnificent isles, and were carried by our ancestors to the New World. We're forever joined, and we are forever friends, and we will always be friends. This enduring connection is why I was thrilled that the United Kingdom was the very first country with which we made a historic trade deal, and a very good trade deal. He's a tough negotiator. I think it was a better deal for you than us, but these are minor details.
It's a very good deal for both of us.
He's a great negotiator. We will extend our unparalleled security alliance into the realm of economic security for the first time, and I look forward to finalizing it very soon. We'll have it done very quickly. We have also just signed a historic technology prosperity deal, one of a kind, to ensure our countries lead the next great technological revolution side by side. In fact, we just left the business leaders, the biggest in the world. Some are in this room right now. And that was quite a meeting we had on business and trade and technology. This trip has galvanized $350 billion in deals across many sectors, and we're committed to ensuring that the UK has a secure and reliable supply of the best AI hardware and software on Earth. And we supply that, and we'll make sure we supply it in quantity to the UK. And we also are joining forces on quantum computing and nuclear power, a natural partnership for close allies. The United States, as you probably have heard, is doing better than it has ever done in terms of business and investment. The stock market has hit a new high, as you know, and that's for many, many days out of our fairly short 8 months. and we seem to be hitting new highs, and I think we're going to do much better even as time goes by. Jobs are at a record, and most importantly, we have more than $17 trillion, $17 trillion, and this is during an 8-month period being invested in the country, which is not only a record, but if you compare $17 trillion to the last year of the Biden administration, they did $250 billion. They didn't do $1 trillion for the 4-year period. We did $17 trillion of investment coming in. A lot of it's because of tariffs, and a lot of it's for a lot of other reasons, but there's never been anything like it. It's an economic superstar. That's what's become. It was mismanaged and badly handled for a long period of time, but it's not badly handled anymore. So that's a record, and remember, that's up until 8 months. We have another few months to go, and that number is going to get significantly higher, especially if we win a certain case that we're waiting to hear. That will be something like the world has never seen. I want to congratulate the United Kingdom on making the vital commitment to spend 5% of GDP on defense at the NATO summit this year. We've worked together very closely in so many ways. I'm very honored to tell you that we've solved 7 wars, wars that were unsolvable, wars that couldn't be negotiated or done. The U.S. has done 7 of them. The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group, but we had settled just about every conflict, and as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there. Complex, but it's going to get done. It'll all get done right. And likewise, Russia and Ukraine will get done. But you never know in war. You know, war is a different thing. Things happen that are very opposite of what you thought. You thought you were going to have an easy time or a hard time, and it turns out to be the reverse. As we saw in the unforgettable parade yesterday at Windsor Castle, what a place it is. The British Armed Forces carry on one of the finest military traditions in the world, one of the greatest marching bands, one of the most magnificent sights I've seen. I know that our service members look forward, and we do look so forward to working even more closely with yours as you push toward that 5% goal. And I think, Mr. Prime Minister, you're just about there. You're going to be there very quickly, along with a lot of other great countries. I want to thank NATO and our wonderful head of NATO, who's really worked very hard, Mark, for the job they've done. As you know, NATO is at 2% GDP, and they didn't pay it. Now they're at 5%, then they pay it. And we appreciate that. And we're sending a lot of weapons to NATO. NATO is paying for those weapons in full. But we're sending them, and we're doing a great job at getting them what they need. And we appreciate the fact that they're taking care, because the United States is into that war for $350 billion. And just really very sad. Just got out of control. They didn't know what they were doing. But over the generations, British and American warriors have shed their blood side by side in defense of liberty and freedom. And that's why it's so imperative that the United States and the United Kingdom stand together for these fundamental rights and values of the English-speaking world. And we've always stood together, and we will continue to. Just last week, a great American, Charlie Kirk, was heinously assassinated for speaking his mind. He was a great young man, incredible future. Some people said he might be president someday. I told him, I said, Charlie, I think you have a good shot someday at being president. And he just wanted to take care of youth. He loved youth. I've never seen anybody relate to youth like Charlie, and they related to him, and they're devastated. But I appreciate the many British citizens who have offered their condolences. And again, Charlie was a great person. We'll be going out to a service on Sunday. I'll be leaving with some of the people in this room just to celebrate Charlie and all that he's done. So incredible. Never seen anything like it. But But I hope that together our nations can lead a movement to defend the glorious traditions of freedom on both sides of the Atlantic. There could be no greater tribute to the immortal bonds of affection and loyalty that unite the British and the American people for all of time. We have a relationship like no other. It will always be that way. We will always be united. We'll always be together. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for the great job I think